Ford's government is already committed to applying a 25% surcharge on energy exports to New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. The head of the Canadian province of Ontario is, listen to this, threatening to cut off electricity exports to the United States. Premier Doug Ford says he will turn off the power supply to 3 U.S. states, this in protest of President Trump's recently imposed tariffs. So as I understand it, Ontario, largest manufacturer of car parts in Canada. What impact could this 30-day delay in the tariffs on those auto parts have?
If Trump wants a trade war, he'll get one. Those aren't my words. That's the message coming straight from Canadian officials preparing their response to Trump's tariff threats. The orange turd might have just awakened a sleeping giant in red and white. Canada isn't just planning to match Trump's 25% auto tariff. They're considering exceeding it. And they're eyeing America's energy dependence as leverage, too. GM and Ford get about 10% of their North American revenue from Canada. Tesla's expansion plans there? Suddenly looking very shaky. This isn't just diplomatic chest-thumping, it's economic warfare. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
And that's because car plants here in the U.S. heavily rely on parts from Canada and Mexico. And the way this works, explained by Olivia earlier today as well, is that these parts will go back and forth several times. Well, Major, great to be with you. I mean, the Premier has been vocal about this issue of automotive tariffs leading up to this announcement today about this pause. Basically, he says it's going to hurt people on both sides of the border. And essentially what that means is the price of these cars could skyrocket if the parts keep getting slapped with tariffs every time they cross the border. So,
you know what would really ruin Trump's day faster than a bad spray tan? Canada cutting the power switch. That's right, folks. While everyone thinks of Canada as this super nice country that apologizes when you step on their foot, they're actually sitting on America's off button, and they're starting to hover their finger over it. Let me paint you a picture. It's winter in Michigan. You're wrapped in blankets, watching Fox News tell you how great America is, when suddenly, darkness. Your heat stops, your TV dies, your phone's at 2%, and it's all because that orange turd couldn't stop himself from threatening tariffs on Canadian cars. This isn't some far-fetched nightmare scenario. It's the nuclear option Canada's considering if Trump goes through with his trade war threats. And unlike Trump's empty threats, Canada's actually holding the goods.
Nothing's for sure right now, and that's very concerning. You know, as I always say, the only country that's benefiting from this squabble, if you want to call it that way, that is China.
So, Major, in case you're wondering why a Premier of Ontario has a seat at the bargaining table during these trade discussions, it's because Ontario is super important.
You know, as China is flooding markets around the world, undercutting American and Canadian workers, and they're sitting back laughing, watching the two closest friends and allies.
They've got what policy nerds call the energy weapon, and it's a doozy. The integrated energy system between our countries isn't just some minor arrangement. It's like we've been sharing the same circulatory system for decades, and suddenly Canada's considering a tourniquet. Cities across Minnesota, Michigan, and New York don't just get a little supplemental power from Canada. They're absolutely hooked on it. We're talking potential blackouts across multiple states if Canada decides enough is enough. Remember the Texas freeze disaster? When people were melting snow to flush toilets and burning furniture to stay warm? Now imagine that happening in multiple northern states simultaneously. All because President Dealmaker couldn't resist playing tough guy with a country that's been our reliable energy partner for generations. What makes this particularly delicious is how quickly it would make Trump's America First energy independence claims look like complete garbage. He'd be scrambling faster than when someone asks him to name his favorite Bible verse. 1 minute, he'd be boasting about American energy dominance. And the next, he'd be begging our northern neighbors to please, please turn the juice back on. The real kicker here is that the Canadian government has actually hinted at this possibility. They're not bluffing. If Trump slaps embargoes or tariffs on them, cutting off electricity exports is absolutely on the table. And they could do it fast. We're talking millions of Americans without power in a heartbeat. That's the kind of retaliatory measure that would have immediate painful consequences. Canadian officials understand this would be a last resort, obviously. They're not monsters. But imagine Trump having to explain to voters in Michigan why they can't watch TV or heat their homes in January. His approval rating would drop faster than the temperature in their living rooms. And here's where it gets really interesting. Those long-term energy contracts between American states and Canadian provinces, the ones everyone assumes are ironclad, the Canadian federal government could suspend those during an international crisis. All those carefully negotiated agreements could go poof. Just like Trump's chance of winning those northern swing states if their citizens are sitting in the dark because of his policies. Manitoba and Quebec aren't just sending us nice letters and maple candies. They're sending critical electricity that keeps northern American cities functioning. Trump seems to have completely forgotten this small detail while beating his chest about tariffs. It's like threatening to punch someone who's holding your oxygen tank. The integrated electrical grids don't care about borders or Trump's ego. They just deliver power where it's needed. And right now, America needs that Canadian electricity. Cut that flow, and the consequences would be immediate and severe. No slow economic impact that can be blamed on Democrats or China. Just immediate darkness that points directly back to Trump's trade policies. This is the problem with electing a guy who thinks international trade is as simple as an episode of The Apprentice. Real international relationships are complex, interdependent systems that can't be reduced to winning and losing. Canada's potential energy response shows exactly how interconnected our economies truly are, and how vulnerable Trump's America could be to retaliation. So here's the punchline, folks. Canada has a proven track record of hitting back when pushed. Remember when they slapped tariffs on steel and industrial products? The US folded faster than Superman on Laundry Day. History doesn't just repeat itself, it comes back with a vengeance and a hockey stick. The economic damage would be devastating. We're talking $15 to $20 billion in losses, with car prices jumping $4,000 to $7,000. Talk about sticker shock. Auto stocks could tank 5 to 8% immediately, potentially hitting double digits if Wall Street panics. Grumpy Trumpy picked this fight thinking Canada was just a polite pushover. Big mistake, huge.